Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're taking a fascinating deep dive into a critical layer of IT infrastructure that honestly almost never gets the spotlight. Yet, it quietly powers our entire digital world. Based on the core concepts covered in Chapter 3 of our source material, we're talking about the hidden storage engines. These are the foundational file systems that read, write, and protect every single byte of your virtual machine data. Let's get right into it.
Okay, here is our roadmap for today. Number 1, the hidden storage engine. 2, key file system concepts. 3, the Windows ecosystem. 4, open source and Linux. 5, proprietary and HCI platforms. And finally 6, the decision framework.
Section 1, the hidden storage engine and why file systems matter way more than you think.
You know, most of us spend our time tweaking the hypervisor, right? CPU scheduling, memory ballooning, network configurations, that stuff gets all the glory. But underneath all that, the file system is doing the grueling, relentless work of managing your virtual disks, configuration files, and memory snapshots. Think of the file system as the city planner of your storage. It decides exactly how raw land, or disk space, gets divided into usable plots. It dictates where files are constructed and how records are maintained. And just like a bad city plan leads to terrible urban sprawl and collapsing infrastructure, choosing the wrong file system leads to catastrophic snapshot sprawl, severe I/O stalls, and irreversible data corruption. A good plan, on the other hand, keeps the traffic flowing and recovers incredibly fast when disaster strikes.
Section 2, key file system concepts, or the vocabulary of virtualization storage. Before we look at specific platforms, we really need to establish our vocabulary. So, let's do a rapid-fire breakdown of 3 critical technical concepts you absolutely need to grasp for the rest of this explainer to make sense. First up is journaling. Simply put, this is a write-ahead log. Think of it like a meticulous chef writing down every single step of a recipe right before they actually start cooking. If the power suddenly cuts out in the middle of preparing the meal, while the system knows exactly where to resume without losing data, it doesn't have to scan the entire kitchen to figure out what happened.
Next is copy on write, or COW. Now, the crucial point here is that instead of overwriting existing data in place, copy on write writes the new data to an entirely new location and then updates the pointer. This is a total game changer. It protects you against partial write corruption during a crash, and it turns massive, heavy snapshots into instantaneous, zero-cost operations.
Finally, we have extents. Basically, an extent is a contiguous, unbroken range of disk blocks reserved for a single file. By allocating blocks in these massive chunks rather than tracking millions of tiny individual blocks, the file system avoids severe fragmentation. And that is an absolute necessity for enormous virtual machine disk files that span hundreds of gigabytes or even terabytes.
Section 3. The Windows ecosystem, from legacy workhorse to modern HCI.
Okay, now that we have our vocabulary down, let's move into our first major ecosystem, tracing Microsoft's evolution in storing Hyper-V virtual machines. Let's compare NTFS and ReFS. Now, NTFS has been the default for decades, but when Hyper-V takes a checkpoint on NTFS, it uses an aging differencing disk mechanism that can cause real fragmentation and slow performance. Microsoft introduced ReFS specifically to solve this. ReFS features a brilliant mechanism called block cloning. When you create a checkpoint or clone a VM, ReFS doesn't actually copy the data. It just creates a new reference to the existing blocks. So operations that literally used to take minutes on NTFS now finish in mere milliseconds on ReFS. It's incredibly fast.
Section 4. Open source and Linux, the heavyweights of KVM and Proxmox. Shifting our focus over to the open source world, let's contrast X4 against XFS to see what powers Linux hypervisors like Red Hat, Ubuntu, and Proxmox. So X4 is the battle-tested, universally reliable file system you'll find by default on platforms like Ubuntu. It just works. However, it can really bottleneck under highly concurrent I/O. And that is exactly why Red Hat adopted XFS as their default. XFS was designed with what are called allocation groups. These are independent sections of the file system that can be read and written concurrently without locking each other up. It was specifically chosen to solve extreme concurrency bottlenecks when you're running dozens of VMs on a single host.
Now, what's really interesting here is how ZFS fundamentally changes the game. Unlike traditional setups, ZFS completely collapses the storage stack. It integrates hardware RAID, the volume manager, and the file system into one single, self-healing structure. You have physical disks grouped into VDEVs, which make up a massive storage pool, which is then carved into datasets, and ZVols for your virtual machines. It's the whole shebang in an incredibly elegant package.
Because of all this, ZFS is widely considered the absolute gold standard for data integrity. It performs end-to-end checksumming on every single block of data. If it detects silent corruption, it just self-heals automatically. Plus, it offers instant snapshots. But I do have a major word of warning here. ZFS demands serious hardware. Features like global deduplication will absolutely devour your system memory. We are often talking about needing a full gigabyte of RAM for every single terabyte of deduplicated storage.
Section 5. Proprietary and HCI platforms, purpose-built for virtualization.
Transitioning away from general-purpose systems, let's look at enterprise platforms like VMware and Nutanix. These companies actually abandoned general file systems to build highly specialized storage stacks entirely from scratch. Looking at VMware, they created VMFS way back in 2002. What made VMFS so revolutionary was its unique distributed locking mechanism, which allowed multiple hosts to read and write to the same storage simultaneously. This is exactly what made vMotion, moving a live VM between servers, possible. Later on, VMware introduced vSAN, which eliminated the traditional SAN altogether by pooling local host drives into an object-based storage model driven by per-VM policies.
And this brilliantly illustrates the massive leaps in storage efficiency across these different technologies as we move up the stack. Think of raw NTFS or XFS as your baseline. As we advance through ReFS block cloning and ZFS compression, we eventually get to hyper-converged platforms like Nutanix and VergeFS. VergeFS can actually achieve up to an astonishing 8x storage efficiency leap. Why? Because it uses global inline deduplication across the entire cluster, not just on a single node.
Nutanix, on the other hand, took a fundamentally different philosophy. Instead of a standard file system, they deploy a controller VM, or CVM, on every single node. This CVM manages the Nutanix distributed file system for cluster-wide replication. But what's truly fascinating is their Acropolis file data driver. It bypasses the hypervisor storage stack entirely, giving the CVM direct bare metal access to the local NVMe drives. This setup guarantees deterministic, ultra-low latency performance.
Section 6. The Decision Framework, choosing the right file system. All right, let's bring all this dense technical data together into a practical, actionable framework so you can confidently choose the right underlying storage for your environment. We're basing this on scale, lock-in, and data integrity. This consultative matrix shows exactly how to align your specific ecosystem. So if you're a Windows shop staying with Hyper-V, ReFS is your answer for block cloning. If you want a deeply integrated, open-source setup with ultimate data integrity, Proxmox with ZFS is highly recommended. And if you're running massive concurrent Linux workloads on KVM, XFS is your battle-tested default. Usually, your hypervisor platform dictates your first move, but your budget and integrity needs will narrow down that final choice.
Before we wrap up, we absolutely have to highlight some highly destructive operational pitfalls. Listen closely to these. First, do not format an NTFS volume for VMs with a 4 KB cluster size. You will completely drown in metadata overhead. Next, never let VMFS snapshot chains accumulate, or you'll destroy your I/O performance. Third, do not enable ZFS deduplication unless you have massive amounts of RAM. And finally, avoid VMFS overpopulation. Cramming hundreds of VMs onto a single data store will cause severe metadata lock contention. Just don't do it.
As we conclude our deep dive into the hidden storage engine of virtualization, I want to leave you with a provocative thought. As traditional storage area networks begin to fade away, and technologies like NVMe over fabrics and object storage redefine what latency and scale even look like, is your file system architecture actually ready for the post-SAN era? It might just be time to rethink what's running quietly beneath your hypervisor. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep learning.